Y'all, I just tried. Hold on. First off, shit, let me start over. Hi. Welcome to another episode of Life with Migdalia. I'm your host, Migdalia. How's it going? Great. Anyway, y'all, I just tried calling all my credit card companies, okay? Trying to reduce my interest rate, which I Googled as a thing, like, oh, this is what you can do. And I think I was too nice to be like, hi, how are you? Are you having a great day? Like, thank you so much for your help. And I'm pretty sure these people sat on the other end of the line when I was like, hey, I want to reduce my credit card, interest rate. And they were like, oh, yeah, let me run it through the system. And I'm pretty sure they just like faked typed a bunch of clickety clackety buttons or whatever and told me, oh, well, unfortunately, like, bitch, did you even do it? Did you even actually? Are you sure that there's not something that you could do? Like, what? So if anybody works for a credit card company and understands, like, how to do that, send me a message like, hey, you just gotta be a bitch. Or, like, you just gotta say these right words. Because I don't think that I could ever be a meanie pants to customer service people. I know what it's like. I've been there, done that. Unless you actually, drive me crazy, piss me off, whatever. Like, if you're being rude to me, I'm gonna be rude back. A little bit of attitude sprinkled on there with some cuntiness. That's what's gonna happen. But I can't be mean to customer service people. So they were like, yeah, there's unfortunately nothing we can do, like, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay. Like, fucking Haley from Modern Family, where, she goes in for her interview. She's like, I have an interview at 2:00 with blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, yeah, he's not in the office. She goes, okay. And she turns around and she just leaves. Like, that's how I felt. So I don't know if I should try calling back again at some point and being a little stern, like, I will cut these credit cards up and never pay a single blah, blah, blah. Which is not true because I literally have to pay these off to help my credit because I want a house. And I really want to have our own place. Like, Milo wants his own place. My girlfriend wants our own place. I want our own place. Like, living with a parent sucks. It sucks so hard because you have to follow their rules and shit. And sometimes it's hard to follow their rules because you've been living on your own. You've made your own rules. Like, and unfortunately, I'm the type of person that's a bedroom kid. Like, I don't know if you guys can relate. Like, when I was younger, I never, ever sat out in the living room just to hang out with my parents. Or, like, hung out in the living room and played on my phone. Like, I was always in my fucking bedroom doing whatever. God knows what. Sending nudes, reading a book, painting, doodling, like, doing some craft activity, looking on Pinterest, like, whatever. That is how I was. That's how I've always been. And every time, like, I guess I shouldn't say every time, but being in Kansas, Christ, being, here living back. I shouldn't even say back, but my girlfriend, she's back living, at home. But living with a parent, I lived with my parents for a couple of weeks. Actually, in total, after the whole Pugsley situation, I moved in and lived with my parents for 6 weeks. Okay, 6 weeks max, because I did it for 2 weeks and then I went to go stay with my grandma for 2 weeks, and then dumbass me decided to go back to Pugsley and live there again, but, comfort, whatever. And then after I broke up with him again, I went to go live with my parents for a month so that way I could get my own place, and me and Alec did, got our own place together and lived together for 2 years. So, yeah, but living in a house that's, like, not even your own parents' house, like, it's my girlfriend's parent house and single dad, yeah. It's just difficult. It's harder. Like, you gotta respect the house, like, do the chores, do all the things because we're not paying rent. So nice. but you gotta be on top of things, and he also doesn't like dog hair, so we gotta be very careful with Milo, and Milo stays within our, like, rooms that we have, but we can't be too loud, like, we can't be too crazy or rowdy and, you know, do anything unless he's not here. Like, her dad doesn't like cussing, and she'll be on a video game, like, talking to her friends, talking shit, whatever, and he'll be able to hear her, and it's just like, "Hey, why do you gotta swear so fucking much? Blah, blah, blah." Just like a typical parent thing would. So we're just itching to get our own place and, you know, manifesting, hoping everything works out. It is, you know, I shouldn't even say that I'm, like, stuck right now. Everything feels a little slow. Like, I feel as though spring is always a little slower because things are brewing for the winter, but I'm trying to find a new job. Not that I don't like my current job, because I really do. I love my people, I love who I work with. Everyone's great, my team is amazing. Her dad is working on a truck outside, but I love my job, okay? It's just the fact that it's seasonal. So after the season is over, I'm going to be down to reduced hours and it kind of just sucks. So I want something that's more stable with hours, with a set pay, like, and I love the office job. I love and I mainly just saying this so I can put it out into the universe and the universe can know, like, hey, this is what she wants. I love the office life. I love having fucking air conditioning. I love having insurance. I love being able to kind of do what I want, but at the same time having like a structural thing like, hey, I need this done today, like do this, this, and this. Um, Having a routine. That's nice. Like, I love having a set routine and being able to do whatever the hell I want and not having somebody breathe down my neck. And then when I want more, I can just ask for more. I'm also a little, I shouldn't even say traumatized, but coming from like a toxic work environment for the past few years makes it more difficult. Like, my current boss will do something and I'm just like, wait a minute, what? That's how this goes? Like, you're not gonna be crazy about it. Like, it's refreshing. It really is. Or if I ask for help, it's never like yeah, you figure it out type of mindset or um hey, can I do this, or let's think about me doing this or trying something new. She'll be like, "Hell yeah, let's do it." Like, she always wants my input and it's so nice because previously it was I'll let you know or I'll get back to you or I'll think about it, and that drove me fucking crazy. So, I want somewhere where I'm valued. I want somewhere beneficial to me. Great pay, obviously, great team, positive work environment, like paid holidays, weekends off, a simple 9 to 5 is what I aspire to have because my girlfriend, her hours are going to be really crazy and I don't want something that goes, the same as hers with the nightlife. Like, she might be switching to midnight soon. So it's gonna suck, especially if, like, with Milo. Oh my god, I'm getting stuffy, so hold on. So someone has to be, taking care of Milo, and midnights fucking suck. So I'm really worried about her mental health and how it's gonna go and all that jazz. Cause, when I worked midnights, it really was a spit in my neck, kick in my teeth type of situation. Like, I applause to anyone who works midnight shifts and you can function like a proper human being because that shit is fucking awful. But I also want to be able to spend time with her when I can. I also want to try bartending, so like as a part-time job. I've always been interested in bartending. I'm pretty sure I've said it before, but like I think making drinks would be fun and it would give me a great opportunity to meet new people and make friends and just be a social butterfly. So I don't know. Really need to work on pinpointing what I want out of life and really taking the value of that. Some people are going to agree with this topic. Some people are going to be like, no, you know nothing of what you speak of, you stupid bitch. But those of you who do agree, and those of you who want to talk about the opinion or at least listen, go right ahead. I'm not saying anything, incriminating. This is just my opinion. I feel like I have to state that in today's world. All an opinion, everyone. So please, the topic that we have today is hookup culture. Hookup culture. What is it? What do we do? Why do we do it? Get down. Yeah. Now, this is going to seem not necessarily hypocritical, but the journey that I took in order to get to this mental opinion or whatever, I have to first state, like, I had never known what an emotional connection was. So I really just didn't have anything like, oh yeah, this is important or it's not important. So like without that piece of tidbit to actually experience, I thought, you know what, hookup culture is whatever. It's hookup culture. In today's society, we use this as a way to describe the social environment that normalizes and encourages casual sex, from kissing to sex, with little expectation of commitment or long-term emotional intimacy. And it's just certain social settings, such as like college or club scenes or, using a dating app, but not limited to them. The term covers the behavior, language, or just talking, or situationships, and the social scripts that make casual sex the expected or default option. Now, I've had my fair share of hookup instances, and they've all been from a dating app, to be honest. Like, I have never once gone to a club or to a bar or whatever and been like, you know what, I'm taking this person home with me tonight. That has never been my thing. Kudos to anybody who can do that. That was just never my thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just like in between the two. Like, it has no effect on me whatsoever. But that just wasn't my forte. And when I would go to the bar, it was just mainly to hang out with friends or whatever. So when I did, have these hookups, it would just be with people that I met on Tinder or Bumble or whatever. And it was always just about sex. Like, I did not care to have the emotional intimacy that I never experienced. I wasn't interested in finding emotional intimacy with these people. I literally just come over, do what we gotta do, get the hell out of my apartment. Like, that was clear cut across the line, and I have blocked pretty much all of them after the fact. One, I think it started more so when I was 18, after I had lost my virginity to jailbait, and I was like, you know what, whatever. And I didn't really have an emotional connection with jailbait. So moving on, like after he got arrested and went to prison and I had broken up with him, it was just clear as day of like, I really don't know what to do. Like, I felt sad. I was like, okay, my first ever relationship that I was into has completely just been swept under the rug. I was shell shocked by it. And like, that was my first relationship, you guys. That was the pinpoint of like my dating career, I guess you could say. And it really just broke my heart as an 18-year-old of like, wow, this is crazy. And I felt cursed after that of how the hell do I move on from this? Like, are people gonna think that I'm cursed or just like don't want to date me? Like, oh, bad things happen when you date her. Just, stupid stuff kind of like that. And then after I'd broken up with him, I started going on Tinder. I enjoyed the validation, like as a young girl does. And I would like talk to a bunch of guys. And this was before I like come to terms with my sexuality. I just thought like, oh, this is nice. This is fun. Getting attention, like having people want to talk to me. Yeah. So my first ever was a guy from class because I wanted to rip the band-aid off of like hookup culture and like being able to do that. I was like, okay, I need someone that I'm not emotionally invested in. I don't care whether or not this goes somewhere. I just want to rip the band-aid off and do this. So I chose someone I knew was easy. I knew that they weren't going to be interested in anything with me because I, knew them as a player. So I hooked up with him in my car and didn't speak to him for years after. Okay. Probably 2 years after. And then I just got the ball rolling. It was one of those things was like, oh, is he gonna text me after? But that's the role that is played in our heads, especially young women, I think, of after you do that whole hookup situation, you get in this moment of like, oh, like, are they going to text me? Are they going to call me? Are they interested in me? Blah, blah, blah. So you have to pretty much get that out of your system. So that's what I did. And I remember telling my best friend at the time, Belle, I've talked about her before, about doing that. I was like all giddy and excited because I just ripped the band-aid off after feeling like a virgin again because I didn't have sex for probably a whole year because I was like with jailbait for that whole entire time pretty much. And she looked at me and she was like, "Oh my God, that's fucking crazy. That's so wild." And it was just a feel good moment. But I was also working, we were working together, me and Belle, at a nursing home. And when I tell you, oh my gosh, I sometimes miss working in a nursing home, like seeing those little old ladies and helping them and actually, making a difference, which they probably don't remember, obviously, because most of them had dementia or Alzheimer's and whatever else. Or maybe they're all dead. I don't know. This was when I was 19. Okay. You have to remember, I was 19 years old when all of this stuff was going on. And was I 19 or 18? It was the beginning of 2018. So I was 19. Yeah, I had just turned 19. So I just took that as the ball rolling, got into this momentum, went on Tinder. I worked midnights at this nursing home and I was also going to school full time. I also had 3 jobs. I was hustling, baby. I was getting after the fucking money. Worked as a hostess on weekends. Worked at my long-term job that I had until May. And then I had this nursing home job. So I was like doing school full time. I really wanted to pay school like out of pocket and do all this. So I was working these 3 jobs to get after it. And I'm glad that I had that midnight job from 11 to 7 in the morning because I could get my homework done. But I was mostly just like swiping on Tinder when I was fucking bored out of my mind. The ghost encounters, off topic, but that shit was crazy. I might as well get into it because I don't know if I'll ever talk about this topic ever again. I remember working at the nursing home. Okay, I'm going to describe to you this house, and I don't know if I've ever talked. I actually don't remember if I've talked about this before. But when you're facing the house, it's a 1-level house, obviously, because there's old women that live here and they can't use the stairs or anything else. Duh. So you walk up the driveway and you see the the garage, and then it's not attached to the house. So there's a little pathway, but if you're still on the sidewalk, you can see the main front door, I believe, and then a side door right next to it. Like, I shouldn't even say right next to it, just like a little bit of ways of it. But they're both facing the main street instead of it actually being a side door. And then you have the back door, sliding door, which has a ramp for nice days. Obviously, these, if their children come pick them up or whomever and take them out and they're in a wheelchair, they can just go. So when you walk in we'll just use the back door, the back sliding door, you enter kind of like an open area, and there's 2 dining room tables. They kind of make a weird L shape, but they're not touching. So one is in right next to the sliding door, and then the other one is long ways, kind of diagonally, but enough room for like 2 people to walk between the tables. And then you have the kitchen to your right, super cute, super tiny, and then you have like a couple of rooms and then a bathroom over to the side. And then if you were to look slightly to your left, there would be a little living room situation with like 4-5 recliner chairs, okay? And then a TV. And then if you turn your head straight, there's like 2 steps to get down a bit, laundry room, whatever filing system they have, and then boss's office. So then if you walk past the first table close to the sliding door, you turn your head all the way to the left, and it's a long hallway. And there's a bathroom kind of in the middle of, like, you walk down and then you stop, but there's an open archway to the first living room that I described. And then if you're turning your body all that way and then slightly look left again, there's another living room. And then if you bring your head back around, there's the bathroom. And then a small hallway behind the bathroom that connects to the large hallway. So, and then just rooms, just fucking down that hallway, rooms, and then, T-shaped. And then if you go to the second living room, there's a couple more rooms, whatever. So I'm doing this rounds to change all these women's diapers, and I go into the one room in the second living room, and the second living room has a clear door, and so you can see outside, and if somebody's standing there, they can see in, which is really creepy. So I'm walking past to get to one of the second bedrooms, and I see out of the corner of my eye a man's figure in the door. And I immediately, like a little kid when you're in the basement and you're freaking out, so you turn the light off and then you run up the stairs really fast just so you could get to lighting because you think something's after you. That's how I felt. So as soon as I saw that, I ran to the fucking bedroom, I switched the light on, and I looked. And I was like, oh my God, I could have fucking sworn that I saw a man. It looked like an older gentleman. Super tall, with his hair parted, not in the middle, but off to the side to swipe over to, the other side of his head. And it freaked me out, so I mentioned it to one of the girls. And they were like, oh, that's so-and-so's husband. He's always watching after her. I was like, what? Yeah, freaked me the fuck out. But back to the topic. So I used my night shift, whatever, to do homework, scroll on Tinder, whatever. And I ended up, which I really didn't meet a whole bunch of people off of Tinder, to be honest. It was mainly people that I went to middle school or high school with. It was super weird. But I ended up getting hot, and I hadn't seen them in forever, so whatever. I remember, who was the second person that I did? I remember it being the guy that I ended up sleeping with for the second time, when I first broke up with Pugsley at the end of that month. So we were both in college. We like FaceTime. I picked him up. I think we ended up going to see a movie. We ended up going to Dick's Sporting Goods because he needed like bandanas for snowboarding, I think. Like totally whatever. And I was getting used to like talking to him, and I caught feelings, whatever. And then he was like, yeah, I'm not interested in dating. But the you is always silent. So then I like let him go. And then I ended up sleeping, I think, with the kid that I was in my art class, which was actually Shop Rat. Ended up sleeping with him. He should have just remained a one-night fucking stand, I swear to God. And then I ended up sleeping with this other guy that I went to middle school with. He's bald now, crazy. And it was so weird because the condom ended up breaking, like, literally in half. I ended up finding it the next day. I went to the bathroom. Like, vaginas have their own filtration system, but it was crazy. I was like, thank fucking God. Thank God that nothing happened. And I was on birth control, obviously, but you can't trust that for shit. And then who else did I ended up? Oh yeah, okay, that's correct. That was it. So it was just like 4 people, and then I ended up getting into a relationship with Shop Rat, and it was all the thing, and blah 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 blah. And yeah, I should have fucking stayed that way. And we ended up dating for like a year and a half. So from April 29, nope. April 2018 to July of 2019. Yeah. So it's like almost a year and a half, not even. And then when I broke up with Shop Rat, I actually slept with the first guy that I had, slept with after breaking up with Jailbait again. And God, it made me so uncomfortable. I felt so disgusting afterwards. Like it was probably the worst sexual encounter I had ever had in my entire life. It was probably because I should not have been even sleeping around after getting out of a relationship. But yeah, like I just fucking ignored myself. Like I should not have done it. And I wish I never did it again. So I then started talking to other people, going on Tinder, blah, blah, blah. And then I met Pugsley on Bumble in August. And I'll get to the whole nitty gritty of that. Now, this is what I mean when we're not meant for like casual. So after I ended up dating Pugsley, I went back to like slept again with the guy that went on a movie date. I'm going to name him the chemist, whatever. I can't remember if that's what he fucking does. But slept with him again. I think I was more so projecting on the relationship thing. That's what happens when you date someone for a long time. The first person that you sleep with, you're like just ready for a relationship again because that's what you're used to. Don't fucking do it. Don't fucking do it. Do not get in that trap, okay? And then I started doing my other ones. So it was like, slept with a guy in May of 2023, another in July, I think, another in August, another in the beginning of September, and close to the end of September. I think that's it. That might be it. But I just remember after the fact of feeling like, oh my God, I'm so done with this. I hate this. I feel gross after. Oh, I missed one. It was one also in May, June, July, August, September. Yeah, so once a month or almost twice a month, whatever. But I just remember feeling so gross with myself, like, just get this over with. I don't care, just, whatever. And it always had such, like, anxiety of them coming over. And I was like, ew. Oh, there was another one. Microbiologist. He actually wanted to date me, but I was not interested. And he was super religious. He, like, told me, he was like, oh, when you're ready to be exclusive, like, I'm all for it. I'm all in. Yeah, sure, blah. And that gave me the ick. Okay, I cannot tell you how many times I ended up getting the ick when it came to dating apps. Just men, okay? Just men in general. Immediately. But how many times did I sleep with him? Two or three times. But yeah, like, sure. I just remember looking at Brooke when I got the text message. I was like, oh my God, he wants to date me. And I just remember like, ugh. And I remember going to see a movie with him, and it was the first time that I had like ever met somebody over a dating app. And I was like, what if I get kidnapped? What if he murders me? Like, you know the stories. They're fucking freaky. And he didn't. Thank God. Like, ended up telling people, sharing my location, like telling people where I was going to be and whatever. And we ended up seeing a movie. Now, one of my, I don't even know if it's a pet peeve. I hate when I'm watching a fucking movie and somebody's trying to be all up on me. Okay? He wanted to like do shit in the movie theater. Like, dude, I don't know you. I'm super uncomfortable. I'm super nervous. Please, if you want to hold my hand, sure, I guess. But I don't want you like trying to get with me while I'm invested in this fucking movie. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but yeah. And I ended up like breaking it to him. I was like, what's the point of like, actually, I wasn't even like that. I more so said, like, are having children and getting married like, what's the word I'm looking for? A deal breaker. That's what it was. And he was like, well, yeah, I want to get married. I want to have kids. And I was like, okay, but I don't want marriage or children. So it was really me just reflecting on being like, what do I want? And he was like, oh, well, can we still keep fucking? And I was like, no, because I don't want to lead you on to think like, hey, this is going somewhere when it's really not. And yeah. So ended that. And then when I had my last encounter in September, I was like, you know what? This shit is fucking pointless. I'm so done. I'm so disgusted after every time. I immediately have to get in the shower. I don't want any encounters with them. I don't care about texting them. Whatever. This is just it. And it was that point on that I was done. And then weirdly enough, shortly after, I ended up meeting that masculine presenting girl that really just broke my heart, and she turned out to be a piece of shit. But if she hadn't, I wouldn't have realized like, oh, there's masculine presenting women that actually get me going. Like, I'm very sexually attracted to masculine women, also known as my girlfriend, who is a masculine presenting girlfriend. And I remember currently me right now remembers talking about this like step by step of how I was attracted to masculinity, but I was like, no, it's actually not masculinity, it's masculine women. Because it made me more emotionally invested. And having my first emotional encounter with my girlfriend, I just remember our first time having sex in a hotel room, and the world just melted away. And I remember her like getting out of the car, because we had like FaceTimed every day until that point, and I was just like really wanting to be everything for her. Like, asking her how her day was and knowing how she felt emotionally about everything and understanding the depths of how her brain worked. And then, her doing the same for me. And finally, after waiting a month and a half to be together and finally being in her presence and having that sexual moment that made it so crystal clear of, wow, this is what emotional intimacy feels like when you have sex. This is how it should be. The two of you together in one moment, looking each other so deeply in the eyes that the world just melts away and you forget about every single person on this planet. That's how it should feel. And we have gotten away from it in a way because you can have your fun, like, do what you gotta do, have sex, be safe about it, okay? Don't lie to people if you have STDs or STIs or whatever. Like, be safe and don't be that shitty ass person that doesn't tell people, like, hey, I actually have something, and giving them the choice. Like, yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about that too. But we slip away from this idea, and a lot of hookup turns into relationships. But I knew that I was done with relationships, and I knew that I was done with those hookups, and I wanted a relationship. So that's when I, decided to meet my girlfriend. I was like, you know what? I'm fucking ready for this. And it was just more of an emotional impact. And I'm an emotional person, so it would make sense as to why. Because I never understood it. I never understood, why is it when I do this with someone, I don't feel the spark or the emotional intimacy? It's because I wasn't wired that way to, have sex with men. And I had to do a lot of that thinking of, like, this just fucking sucks. It's stupid and I feel gross and disgusting and it doesn't make any sense. Because being an emotional person, it should make sense that I should have emotional intimacy when it comes to sex, because you're basically giving someone your body as well as everything else about it. But it became clear when I finally had sex with a woman. But we have this way of, using dating apps and the abundance mentality of, like, oh, if this doesn't work, like, there's always another one, which that was my mentality. That is my mentality, with men. Like, oh, there's always another one for you. And I honestly tell my best friends that too. I was like, well, there's always going to be someone out there who can, love you better than the fucking jerkhead you're with right now who's not prioritizing you. We have the swipe first interactions, which favor our quick decisions and first impressions, and it's quantity over slow getting to know you. And that can encourage our short-term connections and return on investment mindset. We also have the alcohol and party scenes as a sexual script. So many of the hookups that people have, happen where alcohol lowers inhibitions and signals people being horny. Like, most people, I think, get horny after drinking alcohol. And we've shifted the social norms about sex and greater acceptance of, the sexual autonomy makes casual sex less stigmatized. And that's positive in many ways, but, the culture script doesn't always teach us how to translate casual encounters into healthy, consentful intimacy. And the emotional taboo in many hookup contexts, emotional attachment is, you know, just downplayed or even discouraged. And we have learned to treat sex as detached from vulnerability and emotional disclosure, because most of us don't want to be emotionally vulnerable because it's scary. Because we've taught people, or people have taught us growing up, that having emotions is a bad thing when really it's not. We have stories upon stories and research about how, about harm to connection and mental health that this all brings. Negative emotional outcomes are pretty common because the hookup experiences lead to, feeling regret or embarrassment, lower self esteem, and just increase on depression and anxiety symptoms because it affects men and women, but often they're stronger in women because we go back to the alcohol instant where alcohol can make someone more attractive. So it's scary to think that, oh, the person that you saw is not the person that you wake up with. And that's a scary feeling. But luckily for me, I never fucking did that. So if you did that, I'm so sorry for you. And those hookups can impair the formation of deeper bonds. Because when sexual encounters are framed as no feelings allowed, people practice the disconnection, being less vulnerable, less self-disclosure, a fewer rituals of getting to know you, and that all blocks the emotional intimacy of it. Some people say and, argue that hookup culture is disproportionately benefits those who easily separate sex from emotion, which is often, straight men, leaving many women and other people seeking intimacy feeling used or alienated. And not everyone is harmed because the context matters. Some people enjoy the consensual casual sex without negative consequences because you're, getting off, but still, being able to do what you want without being in a relationship. And they have that sense of freedom, which I think that people get that so mixed up of you can still be free in a relationship versus, being free single. There's different aspects to it, in my opinion. Like, the person you are with shouldn't control you in any type of way. And when you get older or you get to that point in life, you become less lustful. And I've really honed down on that before I met my girlfriend. I was like, I am not full of lust. I'm not going to just fall over someone because, I don't know, I'm horny or whatever. That wasn't me. I held out for the emotional connection and I stuck with it because I knew that's what I wanted. Some people can enjoy it. Some people don't. It's totally up to you. And if somebody makes you feel bad for that, don't. Because it's your life. Why do you care about other people's opinions? That's why I had to state before, this is my opinion. You do not have to agree with it or not. But sometimes when you're in those casual hookups, like it was with the microbiologist, he wanted more and I didn't. So I ended up having to let him go. And, I didn't like breaking people's hearts, but at that point I was kind of just like, I need to do what's best for me. And you're probably thinking, why does hookup culture kill connection? What are you talking about? Okay, it trains emotional self-protection. Repeatedly having sex without sharing feelings conditions people to keep emotional walls up. So the emotional intimacy requires the vulnerability. And when you don't do that, its practice in vulnerability is reduced. You hinder it. Traditional courtships or whatever, going on dates can build trust through time, shared experiences, and rituals. And with the hookup culture, it replaces that with fast physical encounters where doing dates and wooing somebody and taking those efforts, you skip the glue building steps in a way. You could also have mixed signals and situationships, Ambiguity about expectations creates anxiety and prevents clear mutual investment. And it fucks with trust and the willingness to plan or prioritize each other, not to mention the emotional labor that it costs. My God, it's fucking exhausting. If one person wants intimacy and the other person doesn't, the wanting person often ends up being more emotional labor, which can breed that resentment, shame, and disconnection. And I noticed that because sometimes the people that I was with, they like wanted to cuddle after, and I would be like, I really don't want to. And I hated it. Oh my God, did I hate it. I did not want that intimacy, and I really just didn't want to be fucking cuddled by a man. When I tell you, it grossed me out. Like, I don't even cuddle with Pugsley that often. He would question it. He'd be like, why don't you want to cuddle, like, on the couch or whatever? Like, I did not like it. I'll cuddle up to my girlfriend all day long. Wonder why. Yeah. So, the last person that I slept with, he, like, wanted a break for a second and wanted to cuddle, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll do it. But I was so uncomfortable the whole entire time. I ended up taking a shower after. I was like, get this off of me. I feel disgusted. But for those people wondering how to know if you have an emotional connection versus an only physical hookup. So, signs of an emotional connection. You can be vulnerable with them, share your fears, your disappointments, and they respond with care. I feel like that's a big one. They have to respond with care, because if there sounds like, oh, that's fucking stupid, like, what? You want to spend non-sexual time with them, talking late, doing errands, showing up when they're sick. There's consistent things being reciprocated, effort, checking in, remembering the small details about you. You can make a future or like make plans and include each other in them. You feel safe showing your flaws and they don't use them against you. So this can be described as the mutual self-disclosure, responsiveness, and feeling known. Because feeling known is a different level of intimacy. Like, hey, I know this is your favorite song. I heard that this person was playing in town. I bought us concert tickets. Or, hey, I know you said you really liked this series of TV shows. Well, there's a movie coming out that's similar to it. Let's go see it. Or, hey, I know that this is your favorite food, so I bought this for you because I thought, like, I figured you'd be hungry. Like, being loved, being seen is being loved. But signs as to if it's mostly physical, you have those interactions that focus on sex or flirting and drops off outside that context. Oh my God, that's one of the things that the microbiologist fucking did all the time. He only ever brought up sex. And I was like, do you have anything else to like add to the conversation? He was like, well, you can ask me anything you want to know. And then I kind of just lost and I was like, I don't know. And then I would try to figure out a question to ask him, and then he would answer it, and then he'd be like, what about you? And I was like, okay, this isn't really how a conversation works. So try again, please and thanks. Others is conversations are shallow or scripted, so text meant to set up sex and not to connect. You feel pressure to perform sexually or hide your true feelings. There's no follow through after sex, no check-ins, no time invested. You feel lonelier after being with them than before. There's that empty feeling that comes into play. But getting away from the hookup culture and building real connection is super important. So I think it's important that you have to clarify your values and non-negotiables. So like write down what you want: emotional intimacy, exclusive dating, slow courting, other like also meaning you want to be slow and date and have that effort shown. And what you won't do, which is sleep with someone on the first date, hook up while heavily intoxicated, ghost someone who's vulnerable, value the clarity makes decision making automatic, okay? Change the environment and apps you use. You have to avoid those platforms or the scenes that prioritize the fast hookup. So try apps with dating first cultures or the niche communities oriented around long term relationships, like limit late night partying or meetups where alcohol is the default. So I would do like a coffee date or something smaller, like let's go to the farmer's market, or something where it's not really known, such as a bar or a party or, you know, whatever else, being on Tinder. Um, Slow the physical timeline, because if somebody is interested in you, they're going to be interested in you, not just getting you in bed. So you have to make a rule for yourself. I won't sleep with someone until after X meaningful dates are, or until we've been exclusive, or until we share a certain amount of personal history. Like, that's it. This gives you time to, test it out, see if you guys are compatible, making sure you're comfortable with it. And it's recommended that giving intimacy time to develop rather than treating sex as the test. And people will be like, well, I want to drive the car before I buy it. Fuck off. Like, don't hit me with that old timer fucking shit. Oh, he's getting the milk without buying the whole cow. Huh? Well, lucky for you, I'm not a fucking car or a fucking cow. So, piss off. God, I hate those fucking terms when being portrayed to other people, especially women. Like, we're not cattle and we're not inanimate objects, please. Which you should be treating cows nicely too. They're cute. Another important thing is like use direct communication and boundaries, okay? You have to practice the scripts. I'm enjoying our time, but I'm looking for something with more emotional depth. How do you feel about that? Or I'm not comfortable hooking up right now. I'd like to get to know you first. Having those clear boundaries will filter out the people that aren't compatible and will protect your energy and peace. So, if they're not interested, then they're not interested. That fucking sucks. If you had your hopes up, super sorry about that, but then it's not meant to be and they're not right for you. You want to build those rituals and those habits early on. So, regular check ins, small, predictable acts of care, shared hobbies. Just create the trust and the emotional safety. So, replace the one night scripts with let's go on a walk and talk scripts. Walking and talking is fun. It's a great time. Work on attachment and self-knowledge. There's a lot of therapy books out there, folks. Like, you can do that. It will help you recognize old patterns, such as like the avoidant and anxious tendencies that make hookups either too tempting or too hurtful. And a lot of studies tie attachment orientation to how people experience casual sex. So if your attachment insecurities are driving behavior, address them like intentionally and head on. You want to consider intentional breaks, such as a digital detox or celibacy. So many people have reported that stepping back from dating apps or casual sex for a time clarifies values, reduces anxiety, and recalibrates expectations. So the recent reporting shows a trend of people choosing celibacy or intentional showing as a strategy to regain control. And I would definitely recommend, like, if you get out of a relationship or right out of a relationship, don't hook up with people right off the bat. It really fucks with you mentally. Spoken from experience. Until I stopped hooking up, I really just like was all over the place. I was heartbroken about starting my life over again. I was getting used to having a roommate, a new apartment, a new environment, trying to figure out what I wanted, what I could do, like stepping out of the comfort zones that I was in that relationship and finally like being able to do me again and figure out who I was. It's kind of like when you move out on your own for the first time. And for those of you who haven't moved out on your own yet, I'm going to describe it to you. So when you move out for the first time and you're alone in your first home or, your apartment, whatever, you kind of sit back and you think, wow, I don't know what I'm going to do now. Because you don't have parents telling you what to do. You don't really have a new routine set in place. You could do whatever you want because the amount of free will that you have is fucking endless. It's so wild. So you kind of have to freak out a bit and you're like, what am I going to do with myself? I don't have anyone telling me to do chores. I don't have anyone telling me to do laundry. I don't have anybody telling me to do the dishes. I don't have a routine. I'm like all alone right now. It's kind of like that being out in a relationship again. You don't dress as modestly because you're not in a relationship anymore. You can go out to the bar whenever you want and you don't have to be like, hey, I'm going to the bar, or hey, do we have plans tonight because I really want to go to the bar. You can just go. You can just get in your car and go. Like, you don't even have to wait for anybody to be like, oh, yes, oh my God. Or, no, actually, I have plans for us tonight. I was hoping we could watch a movie. It's kind of weird. I'm not going to lie. Another way, seek communities that model different scripts. So, seek out the friends, the interest-based groups, those communities that prioritize the companionship, the long conversations, and shared hobbies and projects, and, will give you better chances than just finding somebody at the club or dating app environments or whatever the fuck else. And here's a quick decision checklist for you to take notes, okay? Is this a hookup or a potential relationship? You have to ask, did we exchange vulnerabilities tonight? Yes. Lean relationship. Do I want to spend non-sex time with them? Yes. Relationship potential. Do they check on me after sex? Yes. Healthier. Do I feel respected and safe? No. Red flag. If you answer no to 2 to 4 and yes to sex-focused items only, you're probably in the hookup territory. Scripts that you can use. I want to be honest. I'm looking for something that could be deeper. If you're not on the same page, that's okay, but I need to know. Or, I'm not comfortable hooking up right now. I'd rather get to know you first. Or, what does dating mean to you? I ask because I don't want mixed signals. Be as direct as possible, because if you want the answer but you're really like, oh, I'm so scared that it's gonna be this answer and I don't want it to be, please put your big girl thong on that we got from Victoria's Secret, okay? Put the coochie lips in there so they're nice and snug, and move on. Get on with it. Please, there's going to be a little tough love in this situation. Because if they're not going to respect you and what you want, then they're not the right person for you. Okay? What the evidence doesn't say is hookups are universally bad. Okay? Many people have the positive experience, but there's research that shows risk increases when hookups are unprotected by good communication, consent, or when partners have mismatched expectations, because content and intent matter. There are some people that report joy and freedom from casual sex in the right context, and others report feeling yucky, used, or lonely after hookups, which illustrates how outcomes are, tied to context, communication, and just individual expectations. So it really is just a gamble, and seeing if it's worth the gamble versus not worth it divide. But hookup culture normalizes sex without actually putting in the effort and the emotional investment. So for many people, this erodes the building blocks of intimacy: vulnerability, mutual self-disclosure, consistent care. And it's associated with regret and that loneliness and the anxiety in some studies. And if you want deeper connection, you have to clarify your values, okay? Slow the timeline, set the boundaries, change your environment/apps, be direct about expectations, and work on the attachment therapy where needed. And you have to use the rituals in real world communities to practice vulnerability again. Because, like I said before, vulnerability is scary. A lot of us don't understand it. And if you were like me and didn't have the emotional practice with parents, because our parents are our first, example of relationships, we got to work on this as adults. Okay? Been there, done that, got the hat, got the t-shirt, threw up. It was a roller coaster of a ride, is all I'm going to say. And if I had to pick between doing the hookup culture again versus being where I'm at in a relationship, I will pick my relationship 1,000 times over. Doesn't matter if we piss each other off and drive each other absolutely crazy. They are my person. I love her through everything. And I wish that type of connection for everyone. I really do. Because it's amazing. It is a different level of climax. It's a different level of intimacy. Sharing somebody and feeling known and feeling seen with them during sex because it's the two of you coming together and joining bodies after, mental, because we can't feel each other's mind and soul and everything else. So sex is the only way that makes the connection in a way tangible, if that makes sense. And that's what I've learned through my relationship of just because we cannot touch each other's souls and be connected in one that way, we can be connected as one, as like me making her feel good or her making me feel good, and connecting that way and having our physical forms make something that isn't really touchable but can, like, I don't know, in a way make it a little tangible. You know what I mean? Like you're using your bodies, and those are like that's a thing. You can press that. You can touch your body. You can't touch your soul. It's like nothing, if you get my drift. Sometimes I feel like I speak on and on and on, and that's all I gotta say. So that is the end of this episode. If you guys really liked it, enjoyed it, you know what to do. Share it, send it to somebody. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow the Spotify account. If you guys are interested in purchasing products such as jewelry, or anything else that I have on my Etsy page, there's a link in my Instagram bio and TikTok. So my Instagram is Migdalia Bonilla, Migdalia, B as in boy, Onillaa, or Life with Migdalia, Lifewithmigdalia. God, it's so exhausting having a long fucking name, but whatever. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And like my TikTok and whatever else is pretty much the same. So if you want to give a follow or whatever, do what you gotta do. I appreciate your guys' support, always. If you're interested in listening to, a different topic or have any questions or whatever, don't be scared to comment something or, DM me. More so comment, okay? I look at my comments more than anything. But yeah, so I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you next time. Love you, bye.